is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, President Bola Tinubu directs Finance Minister Taiwo Yedele to oversee comprehensive forensic audit of federal government systems. Gunmen killed Akina APC chairman Ishak Yunusa, abduct one other in Kogi State. Troops of Operation Hedinkai dislodged terrorist camp, killed 21 insurgents in Adamawa State. And Nepal reports nearly 2,000 missing after flash floods, including foreign nationals. And on business news, PenCom reports low personal pension funding despite 42% rise in fourth quarter contributions.
On sports news tonight, British-Nigerian boxer Moses Itoma hopes to become the second youngest world heavyweight champion in history when he faces Philip Agobec on Saturday.
And from the nation's capital, Nigeria's Center for Disease Control reports 65,000 cholera cases across 35 states in 2026.
Tonight with a directive from President Bola Tinubu to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Taiwo Yedele, to oversee and coordinate a comprehensive forensic audit of federal government systems. The audit will include a review of the Interrogate and Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, IPIS, federal government agencies, their administration and internal control. And President Tinubu's directive follows the Federal Executive Council's resolution in response to findings by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission on fake agencies, ghost workers, and other control failures. The exercise, which will establish the nature and extent of weaknesses in government's control system, will also run in two parts. The first targets IPIS and related payroll, pension, and financial platforms, probing ghost worker cases, reconciling ICPC's figures, and checking how fictitious persons were enrolled, alongside a review of access, biometric, and bank accounts controls. It will also examine how IPIS interfaces with JFIMIS, Remita, and other Treasury single accounts to establish where the fraud stemmed from. The second part covers all federal agencies, departments, and parastatals with the aim of compiling a definitive inventory and identifying and verifying their legal standing, including how they access budgets, government systems, and facilities. In a statement from the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onunuga, the President says the audit team will have full access to the government records and will work alongside the ICPC to support ongoing investigations and recoveries. President Tinubu says the goal is not just to catch individual cases of fraud, but to strengthen government's control architecture and ensure all legitimate entities and eligible personnel can access public resources. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, has directed the concessionaire handling the Benin-Asaba Expressway to immediately correct identified deficiencies on the highway and restore safe and smooth passage for motorists. Mr. Umahi gave this directive today at a stakeholders meeting held at the Edo State Government House, but he also faulted the Benin-Asaba Expressway Concession Company for failing to comply with engineering standards and directives, warning the poor construction practices and negligence could undermine critical national infrastructure, while the concession also assured the minister of its commitment to address the identified deficiencies and implement corrective measures.
The controller, you look for the MD of Heartland, arrest him, so that, and I want Engineer Musa to tell the directors C&R to call up the APG immediately. You have to write to the banks to pay us that money. And this is what we are going to look at the kind of mess we are having. Even to do small filling on the road, that is wickedness. We can't be running from pillar to pole. because we are fixing infrastructure and people intentionally are removing it. It's not done anywhere. It's not done anywhere. People are excavating the concrete road just to get iron. People are removing our concrete parapet just to get iron. People are removing boats in a bridge like this. This bridge is still bolts and nuts. That's what is holding it.
We turn our attention to security matters now. The chairman of the All Progressives Congress, the APC in Dekina local government area of Kogi State, Ishak Yunusa, has been shot dead by persons suspected to be gunmen along the Tobe-Ochadamu Expressway in Ofu local government area of Kogi State. The Kogi State Police Command says the gunmen emerged from the bush and opened fire on motorists, and the vehicle was later found abandoned on the highway with Mr. Yunusa's body inside. Another occupant of the car was reportedly dragged into the bush by the attackers, but the police say a manhunt has been launched to rescue the abducted victims. And elsewhere, 11 persons, including the drivers of 2 buses, have been rescued after gunmen attacked vehicles along the Aloma-Igani Expressway, also in Ofu local government area of Kogi State, abducting some of the passengers while others escaped. However, a coordinated rescue operation was immediately launched by the police, leading to the rescue of 11 abducted victims who are mostly core members. Meanwhile, terrorists are counting their losses as troops of Operation Hedinkai have intensified operations against Boko Haram and ISWAP fighters in the northeastern region. In a major offensive, troops have dislodged a terrorist camp in Kopre Mountain area of Hong, local government area of Adamawa State, killing 21 insurgents and recovering arms and ammunition. That operation, carried out in the early hours of Thursday, involved a joint tactical team from the Office of the National Security Advisor and other security elements. But despite the difficult terrain, the troops successfully penetrated the terrorist enclave and engaged them in 2 separate encounters. The military says that several persons who were terrorists escaped with gunshot wounds, and the operation is also part of ongoing efforts to locate and rescue victims believed to be held by terrorist groups, including those abducted from Musa community and the Lassa school children. The military says that operations will continue until the remaining terrorists are neutralized and the abducted victims are rescued. Staying with security matters in Adamawa State, the government has issued a stern warning to anyone providing information or supporting the insurgents, saying that such persons will face the full weight of the law. Speaking in Hong, local government area of Adamawa State, while handing over 40 motorcycles to security operatives on behalf of the state governor, the State Commissioner for Education, Umar Garba Pella, says this intervention is coming on the heels of renewed attacks on 5 communities in the area by suspected insurgents.
The security challenges confronting Hong local government area of Adamawa State has become a source of concern following attacks by insurgents on 5 communities, resulting in loss of lives, abduction of residents, and destruction of property. Following this development, the Adamawa State government is deploying 40 motorcycles to support security agencies in assessing the difficult terrain to curb the activities of the insurgents. The State Commissioner for Education, Mr. Umar Garba Pella, hands over the keys of the motorcycles to the traditional ruler of the chiefdom.
I am more than happy to receive the kind of support that we got from His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Adamawa State, Right Honorable Dr. Ahmad Umar CON, Demi de la Haba, because he has been relentless in the support that gives us when we face the security challenges.
The security situation as of now, I can say, is becoming worse, because before, during rainy season, you never hear of attack, but now the attack is becoming more and more, because for the past 3-4 weeks now, they have attacked more than 5 to 6 villages. Properties were destroyed. They killed people. Even abduction, they abducted many.
Following military reports that some of the residents provide information to the bandits, the state government issues a warning to those behind such activities.
The state government has already dimensioned the security situation. And like I've just said, we have had a discussion with the security agencies, and the intelligence we have gathered is that there seems to be some insider informants that are leaking the strategy of the security agencies to the enemies. So we have admonished especially the traditional institutions and the communities to win this fight. It's beyond just what security agencies can handle. It's a conquest against the community, and the community needs to be in the forefront for fighting these people.
The State Commissioner for Education also appeals to residents to cooperate with security agencies in the fight against the insurgents.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima is advocating for Africa to harness industrial growth as part of efforts to reduce security threats around the continent. The Vice President, who represented President Bola Tinubu at the graduation ceremony of Course 34 of the National Defense College, says that the federal government remains committed to confronting all security challenges in order to ensure a safer Nigeria.
It's the graduation ceremony of the National Defense College Course 34, as participants accompanied by their spouses and guests occupy every available space of the main auditorium of the college. The ceremony commences with a welcome address by the commandant of the college, who highlights the need for interagency collaboration to confront emerging and evolving security challenges.
Today, we celebrate the successful graduation of 103 participants, comprising senior officers of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, the Nigerian Police Force, strategic ministries, departments and agencies, as well as 20 international participants from friendly countries across Africa and Asia. This rich diversity underscores the collaborative interagency and multinational partnership that are indispensable to addressing the increasingly complex security and developmental challenges of our time. This rich diversity underscores the collaborative interagency and multinational partnership that are indispensable to addressing the increasingly complex security and developmental challenges of our time.
Graduating participants are then conferred with the fellowship of the college. This is immediately followed by the presentation of certificates and special recognition awards. In his address, Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represented the special guest of honor, President Bola Tinubu, reiterates the federal government's commitment to improve the security situation in the country.
Our challenges cross uniforms, ministries and borders, and our responses must connect institutions and nations through shared responsibility. Africa's security will increasingly depend on productive economies, regional value chains, innovation and industries capable of employing its young population. As the African continental free trade area deepens integration, industrialization must drive inclusive growth, reduce structural vulnerability, and enlarge continental bargaining power. Nigeria remains committed to a peaceful, prosperous, integrated Africa.
After 47 weeks of rigorous academic exercise, these 103 members of Course 34, made up of 83 Nigerians, are expected to match theory with practice in preferring solutions to national and international challenges.
In part 2, after the break, Nigeria Police parade 4 medical doctors and 3 others. Nigeria Police parade them for organ harvesting. We brought that story before, but Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps paraded 4 persons arrested for allegedly vandalizing electricity infrastructure in Yobe and Adamawa State. Please join us again. joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu directs Finance Minister Taiwo Yedele to oversee comprehensive forensic audit of federal government systems. Gunmen killed Akina APC chairman Ishak Yunusa, abduct one other person in Kogi State. And troops of Operation Heading Kai dislodged terrorist camp, killed 21 insurgents in Adamawa State. On the foreign scene, Nepal reports nearly 2,000 missing as flash floods continue, including foreign nationals. Governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress have pledged their full backing for President Bola Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid, following a closed-door meeting at the presidential Villa Abuja on Thursday. Speaking about that meeting, Imo State Governor and the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Hope Uzodinma, says the president formally described them on the composition and briefed them on it at the Presidential Campaign Council. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule also said that he was struck by the president's grasp of the gas sector, especially the drive to expand and adopt compressed natural gas nationwide.
Institution of the Presidential Election Council, which the President informed us officially, and we are in total agreement. What we have agreed with Mr. President is that he will be delivered. All the APC governors are solidly behind Mr. President. To that extent, governors are expected to deliver their states, and they know who is wearing the shoe knows where is pinching him. So the governors will identify what is required to carry out a successful and a colorful campaign in their various states. The responsibility of delivering the election lies on the shoulders of the governors at the subnational level. And it is a combination of what has happened at the subnational level and the push at the national level, federal level, that will yield the result we are looking for.
My own amazement is actually the amount of knowledge that Mr. President has about gas in this country. You know, the president discussed at length about gas utilization, especially in the area of CNG, and that Mr. President has committed a lot of resources, you know, when it comes to exactly how much, you know, it is going to invest when it comes to gas utilization in the country. So those are the type of things that Mr. President has discussed in details, and Mr. President continued to emphasize the unity of the party, the unity of the country, a reduction of poverty in this country, and what the governors must do to ensure that we do everything possible, you know, to reduce poverty and to make sure that we carry everybody along.
The news at 10 continues now as we shift gears to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Terry Ikume is standing by. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention says cholera cases have declined significantly from their peak earlier this year, but transmission remains ongoing across the country. The center says more than 65,000 suspected cases have been recorded in 35 states and about 195 local government areas this year. The Director General of the center, Dr. Jide Idris, made this known during a press briefing on the current cholera and diphtheria outbreaks in Nigeria.
Nigeria has recorded more than 65,000 suspected cases of cholera this year across 35 states and approximately 195 local government areas. The encouraging news again is that weekly cases have declined substantially from the peak recorded earlier in the season. The proportion of recorded cases resulting in death is also considerably lower than it was at the same time last year, just to reiterate that. This is important progress. But let's be clear, the outbreak is not over, more especially that we're seeing in the rainy season. Nigeria has recorded over 10,000 confirmed cases of diphtheria this year. While this remains a substantial burden, we have also seen an important improvement. However, most confirmed cases are also concentrated in a few states. Protecting Nigerians from this disease requires all of us, federal, state, local government, healthcare workers, traditional and religious leaders, partners, communities, families, and individuals to each play our part.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Medical Association is calling on government at all levels to improve the remuneration and working conditions of medical workers across the country to stem the tide of brain drain, where 50% of doctors have left the country. At the press briefing following its National Executive Council meeting, the NMA said to confront human resource challenges in the health sector, the government needs to improve security in the country.
We therefore call on governments to 1. Conclude and implement the outstanding collective bargaining agreement. 2. Ensure universal applicability of salaries, wages, and income to all doctors in all ministries, departments, and agencies, irrespective of where they work, whether in the federal, states, governments, or local government areas, or even in the universities. 3. Introduce appropriate tax relief measures for healthcare professionals and other essential workers. 4. Implement the 65-year retirement age for clinical healthcare workers. 5. Strengthen measures to retain and motivate healthcare professionals in Nigeria. 6. Declare drug and substance abuse among youths a national public health priority. 7. Expand mental health and addiction treatment services nationwide. 8. Improve road infrastructure, particularly roads providing access to healthcare facilities. 9. Intensify the fight against kidnapping, banditry, terrorism, and other forms of insecurity. 10. Strengthen the security of healthcare workers and facilities nationwide. 11. Ensure the safe rescue and return of abducted healthcare workers and other Nigerians in captivity.
Away from health matters now, after 2 weeks of commissioning projects across Rivers State, the state government has taken its development drive to Bonny Island. Governor Siminalayi Fubara, accompanied by top government functionaries and traditional rulers from the area, commissioned the upgraded Bonny National Grammar School, addressing years of deterioration at the 61-year-old institution.
The Rivers State government has taken its 2-week commissioning drive to a colorful close in Bonny Island, with Governor Siminalayi Fubara commissioning the upgraded Bonny National Grammar School amid vibrant cultural displays. Established in 1965 by the people of Bonny to address the growing demand for secondary education, the school had over the years fallen into serious disrepair. Several attempts to breathe new life into the institution under 2 successive administrations came to naught. But the long wait is finally over, as the present administration has completed the much-anticipated upgrade of the school.
Under this project, several critical facilities and infrastructures have been constructed, upgraded and fully furnished to meet contemporary educational standards. These facilities include modern administrative block, a 16 classroom block, fully equipped science laboratories.
For Governor Fubara, the commissioning marks a significant milestone and a renewed government presence in Bonny.
Government is a continuous process. Every reasonable government must continue a program that he believes would add value to the system. This is the first time in over 20 years that government is coming to Bonny to commission a project.
Adding color and royal significance to the occasion is the presence of the King of Bonny, who serves as special guest of honor. He commends Governor Fubara and the state government for bringing the long-awaited project to completion.
Infrastructure alone cannot educate a child, but a conducive learning environment can inspire excellence, nurture talent, and provide the foundation upon which good education can flourish.
The ceremony also provides a moment to celebrate academic excellence, as the Commissioner for Education presents Team Rivers, winners of the recently concluded national presidential debate, to the governor.
2026, your investments in the children paid off, and they are overall winners.
In a gesture that drew applause, Governor Fubara announces full scholarships for all participating students, covering their education in their respective schools across Rivers State. From a long neglected school restored to life to young academic champions rewarded for excellence, the commissioning in Bonny ended the state's 2-week project tour on a high note, with education, culture, and community development taking center stage.
Well, still to come on the news at 10, PenCom reports low personal pension funding despite 42% rise in Q1 contributions. That's on Business News. To stay with us.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. We head to Anambra State now, where the government has identified environmental degradation as the #1 existential threat to the state as it marks its 35th anniversary of statehood in a renewed campaign for a clean, green and sustainable environment. Speaking on the anniversary theme, Our Environment, Our Future, a call for collective action during the state broadcast, Governor Chukwuma Soludo disclosed that the challenge of erosion is largely man-made and requires collective action by government, communities, and individuals.
As Anambra State marks its 35th anniversary, attention turns to a challenge that continues to threaten communities across the state: environmental degradation. In a statewide broadcast at the Lighthouse in Awka, Governor Chukwuma Soludo links the growing threats of erosion and flooding to blocked drainages, construction on waterways, poor water discharge systems, and deforestation.
We are in an environmental emergency, and the solution must be bottom up. From family to kindred, to community, to local government, and to the state, and to the federal government. From today, we are now instituting a whole of society environmental compact.
Under the theme, Our Environment, Our Future, a call for collective action, the governor calls for behavioral change, saying if you see something, you say something or do something, and anyone found working against the state's environmental laws will be punished.
Number one, every one of our 179 communities must participate in daily desilting and clearing of water channels. Our traditional rulers and town unions will lead. Blocking a drainage is now an offense against your entire community. Whether you have plaza, whether you have shops, whether you have houses, whether you have anything, once you are on waterway, it will be brought down. If you see any environmental hazard, speak out.
The message moves from words to action at Solution Fund City, Awka, where the governor, his wife, Noye, Deputy Governor Onyekachuku Ibezim, and other dignitaries join a tree planting exercise.
Tree planting is a great thing because it supports the ecology. It's a great ecological move.
I didn't know that these traders, they are very, very intelligent too. They told us that the trees absorb the carbon dioxide that we breathe out.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And produce the oxygen.
And produce the oxygen, which we need for body metabolism.
Yes.
And if you go to the villages, I don't know whether you have noticed, the air you breathe there from the trees is more refined air.
About 98% of all the flooding and soil erosion that we have in Anambra happen to the man-made. Through our acts of omission and acts of commission, we have imperiled the environment. that if we don't declare a state of emergency on our environment, there may be no Anambra State.
The Anambra State government charges community leaders to mobilize residents and enforce environmental discipline in order to achieve the goal of a new civic culture and a cleaner, greener, and more sustainable state.
The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has paraded 4 persons arrested for allegedly vandalizing electricity infrastructure in Yobe and Adamawa State. The Nigerian Army had also arrested persons in Yobe for vandalizing 800 meters of high-tension electricity cables in the state and handed the suspect over to the NSCDC for prosecution. Over in Adamawa State, 2 suspects were also arrested for vandalizing electricity infrastructure.
Officials of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Yobe State are parading these suspects who were arrested along the Damaturu-Kalawa Road, where the Yobe State government is undertaking an electricity project to some communities.
They will take them to court until they prove guilty.
The NSCDC commandant in the state is concerned about the rising cases of drug abuse among young people in the state, seeking renewed collaboration to curb the menace. He adds that 4 other suspects are still at large.
Abubakar Husseini, a 9-year-old boy. Second person, Muhammad Ahmed Jaro. The 4 suspects at large. Yayani, Haruna, Bashir Dan Kaswa, and Zango. Those are the ones at large. But I have some small advice to give the Yobe youth, the Yobe State youth. Greediness, when you are too greedy. And most of them involved in taking most of these other social vices, like taking of India hemp, the tramadol, and so on and so forth.
In neighboring Adamawa State, the Corps also arrested 2 suspects for vandalizing electricity installation in Hong local government area of the state.
Investigations has revealed that the suspects were allegedly involved in vandalizing of approximately 500 meters of 150 mm aluminium conductor cables along the 33 kV Hong Darha network line, with the intention of selling same to a scavenger for financial gain. The arrest is part of Commandant Nasru Saleh's sustained effort to protection of critical national assets and infrastructure from vandalism and other criminal activities capable of undermining the provision of essential services in the communities. Therefore, the Commandant is issuing a stern warning to vandals, scavengers, and other individuals involved in illegal removal, purchase, or disposal of critical infrastructures to desist immediately. Anyone found culpable will be dealt with in accordance with the extant laws.
The command is appealing to the public to be vigilant and report suspicious movement around electric installations and other critical national assets to security operatives.
The CIG Motors, a subsidiary of the Choice International Group, one of the leading automotive players with global reach, has organized its 2026 Management Trainee Cohort 4 program with 100 successful shortlisted persons participating. And the chairman of the group, Chief Diana Chen, expressed excitement with the trainees, whom she describes as talents.
Recognizing human capital as the catalyst for macroeconomic growth and corporate sustainability, CIG Motors is scaling up its workforce capability with the launch of its 2026 Management Trainee Cohort 4 program. Positioned as a strategic succession pipeline, the initiative is designed to cultivate future executive leaders. Chairman of GAC Motors Nigeria, Chief Diana Chen, unveiled a 1 trillion naira corporate expansion blueprint directly complement President Bola Tinubu's $1 trillion national economic roadmap.
This 1 trillion naira economic or size of company we're building, it is also in line with President Tinubu's $1 trillion national economic plan. And we believe from the industry where we stay now, We should contribute 10% of that $1 trillion size or economy.
Echoing this growth trajectory, the executive leadership reaffirmed its commitments to operational excellence, rigorous capacity building, and maintaining gender parity across its workforce hierarchy.
Using these local talents not only to enhance the development of the company, to contribute more on the economical development, support on the developing the local infrastructures, expanding, focus on developing the automobile industry and its related industries too.
LAGRIDE is open to both male and female, as long as you are qualified and you go through the necessary steps, and we find you qualified, then yes, of course, you can get on a LAGRIDE scheme. We currently have male drivers and female drivers, and trust me, the female drivers are doing very well.
For the inductees, this rigorous onboarding signals a major paradigm shift in their professional careers, equipping them with cutting-edge industry acumen.
We got to learn from the management, and I believe they also learned one or two things from us, regardless of how little it might have been. But I'm glad that I went through the process. It's a very life-changing opportunity.
As the powerhouse driving not only major auto brands, but also LAGRIDE, GRI, and Lonto, CIG management remains resolute in its mission. By upscaling local talent, the conglomerate is poised to continuously shape both the automotive and consumer goods sectors across Nigeria and beyond.
And let's continue in the world of business. Will Ibong is standing by to bring us the story. Thank you, Anne. Now, about 1.4% of retirement savings accounts registered under Nigeria's personal pension plan remain unfunded as of the end of the first quarter of 2026. And this according to the National Pension Commission, PENCOM. Now, data from PENCOM's first quarter pension industry report showed that 219,316 accounts have been registered under the plan since inception. However, only 18,811 accounts, representing about 8.6%, have received contributions, leaving over 200,505 accounts without funding. Despite the low funding rate, contributions under the scheme increased during the quarter. Contributions, however, rose from 103.3 million naira in the fourth quarter of 2025 to 147.16 million in the first quarter of 2026. That's representing a 42.46% increase. Now let's check in with the domestic equities market, which gained ground today with the all-share index rising 0.9% on renewed buy interest across key sectors. Inichoneka tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, 24 hours later, and we're still celebrating the fact that FTSE Russell has restored Nigeria to the frontier market status. It's a good one, and I think that's what investors heard. And they have brought into the market today more than ₦1 trillion, and that has made us to recover the 155 trillion naira level for the all-share index. We opened today at 239,000. However, we're closing at 241,000, and the all-share 0.9%. That's high. That's close to 1%. Major driver of this is Seplat. Seplat today gained 1,120 naira. That's good gain for one investor out there. So it closes at 12,320 naira 60 kobo. Others have also enjoyed these goodies coming from FTSE Russell. So we see banking recovered. Remember, the figures were down yesterday. Well, they experienced a lot of cherry picking today, 2.34%. However, consumer goods is still down 0.19%. And yes, Seplat, of course, has driven this mostly because you also have Japan Gold contributing to it. 4.73% for oil and gas. So we celebrate that status from FTSE Russell, and that means more confidence and more money and the sound of the bull.
Thank you, Ini. Yeah, the markets are now eyeing the emerging markets. Frontier markets dusted and done. Let's see the closing numbers for the major stock markets around the world now. And that's business news, and Will Ibang is back to Anne for more on the news at 10. Thank you, Will. Let's now join Simon Pusey for more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Chinese officials say that search and rescue operations have reached a critical stage as a lake formed by a landslide is at risk of overflowing. Nepalese officials say more than 100 foreign nationals have been rescued, but they also said more than 575 were missing. Footage shared by the country's prime minister shows soldiers carrying survivors and crawling across thick slates of mud to reach others. A collapsed glacier caused the huge flood wave. The surge tore through houses and roads and destroyed a key Nepal-Tibet border crossing.
Probably what's actually happened is it's just kept going and it's incorporated all of the water in the river valley. It doesn't take long for them to be going well over 100 kilometres per hour, sometimes 200 kilometres per hour. I have never seen anything like those videos.
Zambian opposition leader Brian Mundabile, who had gone into hiding after disputing the recent presidential election result, has been detained over allegations of treason. The official results from the 13th of August poll show that incumbent President Hakainde Hichilema won with a 60% share of the vote compared to Mundabile's 38%. The day after the vote, security forces raided a property in the capital Lusaka linked to Mundabile, killing a former cabinet minister and arresting a number of other politicians. The authorities accused the opposition of planning an armed insurgency, which they denied. Norway's King Harald has died at the age of 89 after more than 3 decades on the throne. His wife and son cancelled royal engagements to be at his bedside at Oslo University Hospital. He had been there for 10 days receiving treatment for a rare blood condition. After 35 years on the throne, Harald will be remembered as a popular and reforming figure who modernised the monarchy, broke with tradition by marrying a commoner, and served as a unifying figure at Norway's most difficult moments. He has been succeeded by his 53-year-old son, Haakon. King Charles III sent his most heartfelt condolences.
Well, it's immensely sad for Norway. He's been the most stable and steady sovereign for that nation since he came to the throne in 1991. There was a great affection for him, which we saw played out over the last few days as people gathered in front of the royal palace in Oslo. And I think for King Harald, who has had at his side, and right to the point of his death, the love of his life, Queen Sonia, he provided for the nation the great stability it needed through quite a lot of changes and challenges and political movement. And I think that for him, he has always continued that tradition that he inherited from his father, King Olaf, who guided the nation through all the elements after the Second World War, and his grandfather, King Haakon, who came to the throne when Norway chose to be a monarchy in 1905. So he's the third of the line who have served Norway, and he has always been very, very dedicated to the work that he did, and he will be greatly missed.
And finally, I guess the purpose of this more than anything else is we're going to be changing the name of Lake Ontario, effective immediately, to Lake America. That's going to take place right now as I sign the order. Thank you.
US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order seeking to change the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. The move comes after trade talks between the US and Canada collapsed last week, and the US imposed new 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. In response, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said things must be called by their name, and this lake is called Lake Ontario today and forever.
Hello.
You're not from around here, are you?
And the owner of a pastry shop in Cornwall in England has captured video of an unusual sight on his drive to work, a wallaby hopping through the centre of a town. Scott Weller, owner of Original Cornish Pasties, posted a video to the business's Facebook page showing the wallaby he spotted hopping down a road at around 5:30 in the morning. Although much more common in Australia, the RSPCA says England has had an established wild wallaby population for decades, descended from animals that had escaped captivity over the years.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. With barely hours to the anticipated IBF heavyweight showdown, British-Nigerian boxer Moses Etoma has confirmed beating Filip Hrgovic is the core objective. The 21-year-old Etoma is unbeaten in 14 fights and has been tipped as favorite for the vacant title. Hrgovic, who has a decent record of 20 wins in 21 fights and just 1 loss, is bidding to become Croatia's first world champion. The 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers matchup between South Sudan and Nigeria's D Tigers went down to the wire earlier today, with the Bright Stars recording a 3-point win, 82-79. It all came down to the final play of the game, in which Chimeze Mentu and Josh Okoje missed 3-pointers that could have sent the contest to overtime. The victory for South Sudan, their second in phase 2 of the qualifiers, sent them top of Group E with a 6-2 record, with the last group of the window to come on Sunday against Tunisia, while Nigeria's D Tigers will take on Cape Verde. Reactions have continued to trail the directive of President Bola Tinubu for an overhaul of Nigerian football to overcome repeated failures to qualify for major regional, continental and world tournament. Former member of the Presidential Committee on 10-year plan for Nigeria football, Yemi Idowu, says the reforms must be holistic and thorough to set a pathway for success in the future. And Shooting Stars of Ibadan urged newly promoted side Inter Lagos 2-1 in a Southwest derby in the opening match of the 2026-27 MPFL season played in Ibadan earlier today. Lucky Emmanuel opened the scoring before Sadiq Ibrahim doubled Shooting Stars' advantage, giving the host a comfortable lead heading into the break. Inter Lagos, making their mark in the top flight following promotion, battled hard and pulled a goal back to make the encounter competitive. However, Shooting Stars held firm to secure all 3 points and began their campaign on a winning note. That Sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. President Tinubu has directed Finance Minister Taiwo Oyedele to oversee comprehensive forensic audit of federal government systems. Troops of Operation Heading Kai have dislodged a terrorist camp, killing 21 insurgents in Adamawa State. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawode. Good night and have a wonderful and restful weekend.